So I just saw an amazing thing, amazing news. I'm just running out of words here. I just saw Little Nightmares 3. I posted it on my Instagram. You can follow me at redlaudon. It's not really a plug. I don't really plug my other social media because I don't want to go through that route. I did mainly for Facebook and YouTube, but it's not what it is. I'm talking about Little Night. I'm twisting my tongue here. Little Nightmares 3, like mind blown. Like the first one, the story was about self, right? Like finding yourself and family as well. And the second one is more about friendship and betrayal, and also like discovering the world outside, the toxicity outside, and also about the dangers of like television, as well as the media, and the things we consume on a daily basis. And I think the third one, I'm not sure, like looking at the few select like pictures I'm looking at right now on my computer, it looks a bit like dystopian. I mean, all of them, my not much is dystopian. What am I talking about? But this one looks more, deserty. Like it's more, red orange. It has the orange feel to it. And I mean, looking at it as well. I mean, it's not all orange red. It has some of the key colors of Little Nightmares, which is the black and the bluish and the dark colors, which adds to the nightmare feel of Little Nightmares. I think this one is obviously what I feel about Little Nightmares is it's an anthology, right? It's an anthology series where it's a separate story each time, and I just wonder how they are going to intertwine the storylines, because that's what I'm thinking they're gonna try to do. It's more of like Black Mirror or Love, Death and Robots, where there's tiny pieces of Easter eggs that you have to notice to kind of be like, oh, I know this, and kind of get that callback. But I don't know if they're gonna do that and when they're gonna do that. I don't think they're gonna do that as soon as possible. I think they do want to flush out the story, and I mean, if they keep it an a pure anthology wise, meaning to say like it's all separate storylines, I wouldn't mind that either, because I think that Little Nightmares is such an interesting concept to me, because I grew up with sorry to date me, but I grew up with Are You Afraid of the Dark? I grew up with Twilight Zone. I grew up with a lot of freaky shows, like creepy shows when I was younger. But I have always said that I never enjoyed like haunted mansions, because I didn't like the feeling I got from getting into like haunted houses, because essentially what it is the jump scare feel. I think I was like very afraid of jump scares, because I went to a haunted house when I was like 3, and I really got traumatized from that. So when I fell asleep, like when I fell asleep, and the dreams I had were so vivid, and I still remember them to this day. It's essentially me on like a roller coaster ride, like the tracks start to crack and start to clack and start to get that sound, and then you're moving on the track, and then you see all the oddities, and you see all the creepy like sideshow stuff, like the faces and the bleeding, and the fantastic art of the masks. And I think that for a while I was really creeped out about that. But when I was growing up, and when I was studying art, I started to realize that this is a part of art. This is a part of how we view death, and view all the weird stuff that happen. I mean, not weird stuff. I mean, really terrible stuff that happens in our day-to-day life, because it's essentially, what happens when you die. When you get shot, or when you like kill yourself, or when you decide to murder somebody, or decide to just go in on somebody. It doesn't have to be death per se, but essentially, it's got to be brutal hits to yourself, if that makes sense, because it's got to be like black and blue. It's got to be, those colors really have to be prevalent. It has to be like blood. It has to be black, blue. It has to be red, like a vivid red. So I think all those colors stuck with me a lot when I was younger. So it's again the tracks which were pretty green. And then you have the clowns as well. I was pretty creeped out by like especially like fat clowns. Because I was also, my father always really enjoyed watching serial killer movies. So like John Wayne Gacy was one of my first introductions to serial killers. That was a crazy introduction to crazy serial killers. So John Wayne Gacy, and then obviously Jeffrey Dahmer. But also, I'm a big fan of the Jigsaw series. So Jigsaw always intrigued me, and that's why I really love ethics, because that is essentially what a Jigsaw movie is. It's like essentially providing a platform of like, okay, did you do a good enough, like did you do a good enough deed to keep on living, or did you take life for granted? Because this Saw guy initially was a person on deathbed. Of course, when the story moved on and deteriorated to something else, but I always had the fondness for Saw, because I always I always knew that they could come back to it. But it's essentially a crazy, outlandish thing, obviously, that is essentially a perverted way to kill someone, either way, or to make them mutilate themselves in a way that defects their bodily autonomy and their facial features as well. And it's not really a good thing, but it's an interesting discussion topic, and I wish that I could have talked more about Saw. um because I really love Saw. I'm planning to watch the 10th one. I'm gonna be there with my popcorn. So expect a review for Saw. It's gonna be a one-word review. Fantastic. No, I mean it's gonna be like it's gotta be a fun time. I'm not really gonna do a review about that, because I know that I'm too close to it and I can't review it properly. So, um, back to Little Nightmares. I don't know why that is so tongue twisty. Like try it 10 times. Like Little Nightmares, Little Nightmares, Little Nightmares, Little Nightmares. But if you do it fast enough, I think you trip. Okay, so like for Little Nightmares, I think that the first one was the little girl in the yellow coat. Obviously, we don't really know if it's a girl or if it's a boy. I choose to believe it's a little girl in a yellow coat, and she's in an orphanage essentially. But she wakes up in the orphanage, so I don't know if she really belongs there or not, or this is the nightmare she's experiencing. Same with the second one. He wakes up in the forest. So I think the way they're gonna connect it all is literally the Little Nightmares name, which is all connected through nightmares, and these are the different nightmares of what the children are dreaming. And I wouldn't be surprised if the third one would dive into more on the fear of clowns, because the second one kind of dived into more on the fear of betrayal from friends, as well as the fear of hospitals. And maybe the one of them did go to a hospital and saw like these type of prosthetics and these type of like mannequins and these type of like cadavers, because that second one I think was particularly very scary for me as well, because I remember going to the hospital when I was younger because I broke my foot or like stepped on a nail or whatever, and I was like, oh my god, this is a creepy place, especially at night, because you like it's like really kind of like like really haunted. It's just empty, it's all like it smelled weird obviously to a kid, but now as you are older, you know that that is the smell of medicine, and as well as sanitization, and as well as just particularly just particularly chemicals, essentially not really medicine per se, but like chemicals mixing with the air, and obviously making it a very pungent and strong smell. For me, I think that what I'm expecting from Little Nightmares 3 is maybe okay. So the first one was more of like um what she had to do to maybe get food, and she's in this dingy like orphanage where she's not getting enough food and she's hungry all the time, and she was forced to eat a rat. That was a crazy thing, by the way. And there was all these like maybe you know friends that she made that maybe wanted to give her um, sausage, but ended up that you know she ate the kid. So it's like more on like cannibalism, but obviously I don't think in real life she ate the kid, but I don't know, it's just me assuming obviously. But I think that that in itself is a very intriguing theme to think about, the theme of like the mother not being there for her. I mean, obviously maybe the mother had abandoned her, and maybe you know she saw the mother one day and kind of confronted her or something like that, and then you know eventually kind of making good in terms of saying, no, I can be powerful too, in a way. So that was the first one. The second one was more of the betrayal, which is like making good friends. And when you grow up, like life happens, people betray each other. Human nature. I've been betrayed. It's one of those things that would happen to a kid, especially I think, especially a preteen towards teen, or even a teenager to a young adult. It all will happen. I think I also told my I saw one of my younger colleagues, back when I was working in another company. I told them that it's fine that you have great friends now, but like when you reach like college, university life, you all have your own like you're all going to on your own path, and maybe you're gonna be split, and you're gonna be making new friends in university. So don't expect too much, and don't expect to be together all the time. I think that's one of the things that you have to cherish the friendship you have now, but just remember that maybe you're gonna split ways, and that's okay too. So that was mainly the storyline of the second one. I think the part about the mazes and the hospitals was essentially them trying to maneuver around, the hospitals, and maybe if it's a big hospital, obviously you think that all the rooms seem the same because it's the layout. So it's one of those things that I think it's very intriguing as well, because I did have some weird creep vibes from visiting hospitals a lot of the time. I mean, because my grandma's pretty old, and I have to go to hospitals, you know, and it wasn't fun times. So I think the third one, if there are three beats, basically from the first one, the second one, and third one, where you start, the first one being you start off in basically like an underground sewage area going upwards towards the boat area, and her, experiencing like other people who are gluttonous and who have their fill, who are really rich and like just gorging out on food. um and the second one, basically him starting out in the forest, going into a city center, and going into the like the corporate center, and him going into like the media world, and him being like going in like circles, and you know um having to essentially defeat his demons of like school as well. That was one of the things I remember from Little Nightmares 2. So that was, I think that was about 3 beats, because that was like forest, then the school, then the hospital, then I mean technically 4 beats. The first one, I think because the second one was so recent. The first one, if I remember correctly, was the sewer, the bedroom, the butchers, right, the kitchen area, and then the hotel, the resort area where people eat a lot. Yeah, I think it's 4. Sorry, it's 4 beats. So maybe they start out in a desert. Then, well, I don't know how would they transition, because I always thought the transitions were weird for the Nightmares 1 and Little Nightmares 2, which also is definitely the way a dream works, a nightmare works. You don't really remember how the sequences make sense, but the sequences are there for you to follow. Maybe the desert leading into a circus, leading into um hmm leading into, okay, I'm gonna say desert, leading into the circus, leading into leading to a daycare, or like maybe not really daycare, but like those like arcade, like those old style arcades. I don't know if you new generation know what an arcade even is, but an arcade where you go and play like the literal box games, and the racing games, and it's the essentially an extension of the circus, because maybe it leads into like an abandoned mall with that arcade. And then the fourth beat is going to be a planetarium. A planetarium, an abandoned observatory, a science center type thing. That's what I'm getting a vibe of for Little Nightmares 3. I haven't watched the trailers at all. I haven't watched any material. I just saw the title on Steam, and I was like, oh my god, I had to make a video about this, because I did not expect Little Nightmares to come back. Like, I thought 1, 2, and done. Like, I really thought that they weren't going to continue, because how do you continue Little Nightmares? I mean, that's really just that's really just a praise about how the creators can make such great games. So I'm really excited to watch it. Yeah, I was gonna do a Monkey King review as well, but I think I'll keep that for a next review. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for listening to me rant about my my childhood, essentially, and my excitement for creepy things. Now I'm pretty nowadays I look forward to some creep shows. Not really all. I mean, I still dislike some horror movies. I think that the Conjuring series is. I don't think I'll be into that. But nowadays I think that some of the the horror stuff can be comedy as well. That's why I did like M3. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll be back again. Don't worry. I'm not out. I am looking for content to do. I am looking for stuff to do. It's just that it is pretty hard to think of content to make because I don't want to do the editing anymore, because essentially what I want to do is just this type of content, which is vlogging and the gaming at the same time, which is just me kind of streaming it. But I don't know how that can be feasible for me because I don't have enough time in the day to finish a game anymore. So that's about it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please stay subscribed because I will be coming back and doing videos once in a while. It won't be very frequent. It will be when and as I feel I need to do the videos. I'm also trying my best to dial down on swearing. I know that in the past I've said that I don't really care, but I mean, in terms of which, maybe I'm growing up, I don't know. But I technically still don't care. I'm just trying to improve on me, which is I'm trying to improve on not swearing as much. So, thank you guys so much for watching. This was just a little rant about myself. So, I hope you guys stay subscribed and see you on the next video. Bye.